Hi, I'm Dongsheng. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to review unique perspectives. Today, we are exploring a topic. Why does the Communist Party seek to dismantle the family? Some of you might find this surprising, given that the Chinese Communist Party currently promotes family values, encouraging young people to marry, build household, and have more children. So why would I claim the party aims to destroy the family? It's true that China's youth today face declining marriage and birth rates, prompting the government to urge young people to have children. However, if we trace the issue back to its roots, the reluctance of young Chinese to marry or have children stems directly from policies the Chinese Communist Party has enforced over decades. If traditional Chinese family structures still existed, young people would not be so averse to having children, and China's population would not be steadily shrinking. In the past, one of the most criticized policies was the one-child policy, which limited families to a single child. This drastically reduced family sizes, transforming Chinese households into what's known as the three-person families. Such policies have been widely condemned as inhumane. Yet, I believe there are even graver issues beyond merely restricting births. Since 1949, decades of political campaigns have ravaged the traditional Chinese culture, obliterating the ethics and the concepts of the traditional family. These have been utterly eradicated. Today's family bear little resemblance to the traditional family model. Now, a family is merely a demographic or economic unit with some practical significance. In contrast, traditional families held profound importance in matters of faith and religion. Today, we'll examine the true meaning of family through the lens of traditional beliefs and religion. This discussion, of course, extends beyond China. Let's begin by exploring the historical origins of the family. From a modern perspective, a family is the most fundamental demographic unit, the bedrock of society's continuity and reproduction. Most crucially, this unit holds immense practical value as a vital resource. The family serves as a reservoir of human resources, consumer resources, and production resources, a nation's resource bank. When a country's marriage rates decline and the birth rates fall, the government grows concerned. The loss of family resources signals a decline in societal productivity, consumption capacity, and human resources, pushing society toward a crisis of depletion. Typically, we view families through a material or societal benefit lens. This perspective is highly mechanical and rigid, failing to capture the true essence of a family. Today, we'll delve into what a family truly represents. A family's true significance transcends its role as a material resource unit. It is a unit of religious faith and the foundation of social organization, a critical distinction. According to British historian Larry Sidenthorpe, the prehistorical times before the rise of ancient Greek city-states, the family was the primary, if not sole, form of a human social organization. It was the cornerstone of society, embodying its most fundamental beliefs. The basic unit of social belief was the family religion, a universal trait of early human civilizations. And what gods did this religion worship? The family's ancestors. In ancient times, every household had an altar with a hearth at its center. The father served as a priest, imparting the family religion's teachings. Family members gathered around the hearth to pray, perform rituals, and cultivate a shared faith and purpose, uniting as a cohesive whole. In Sidenthorpe's book, Inventing the Individual, The Origins of Western Liberalism, he describes the Greek and the Roman households as having an altar with burning coals or charcoal. Maintaining this fire day and night was the sacred duty of the household's head. If the fire extinguishes, the family faced misfortune. Only when the entire family perished would the altar's fire go out. Ancient Chinese family concepts mirrored those in the West. Ancestor worship formed the bedrock of social order. For ordinary families, ancestral rituals were vital for maintaining clan unity and ethical values. For the emperor, the head of the national family, the imperial ancestral temple or Taimiao served as the state's ancestral altar. Only founding emperors and their successors could be enshrined in the Taimiao to receive offerings. Upon establishing a dynasty, the first task was to build the Taimiao, install ancestral tablets, and establish regular grand ceremonies. The emperor's worship at the Taimiao went beyond the personal filial piety. It linked the state's legitimacy and the mandate of heaven to ancestral blessings. Per Confucian rituals, if Taimiao ceremonies ceased, the imperial clan was considered extinct, losing its right to rule. Thus, before major state affairs, the emperor had to report to the Taimiao. This was both a political and a religious act, affirming a sacred covenant between the dynasty, its ancestors, and the heavens. As long as the Taimiao fire burned, the dynasty stood firm, like the altar fire in ancient Greek homes. If China's Taimiao was abandoned, public trust would falter, and the nation's fate would waver. In ancient terms, a family's demise was synonymous with its hearth fire's extinction. How should we understand the family altar? This requires some imagination, as ancient societies differed vastly from today's. Back then, there were no government, nations, churches, or commercial entities. The family was the sole social structure and the only source of identity and faith. Everything a person was stemmed from the family, rooted in ancestor worship. This made the family paramount. Ancient people formed tight-knit social circles around the families. Family members were us, while outsiders were others, sometimes even adversaries. In ancient times, the highest moral duty was to uphold the family, its faith, and its gods, the ancestors. Even property was viewed this way. An individual's fleeting life made them a mere transient in the world, so property truly belonged to the family or clan. The family's priest also managed its wealth, acting as the clan's steward. Despite thousands of years of historical evolution, this reverence for family persists in people's hearts. This explains why even today, people hold a special attachment to family, rooted in ancient family beliefs. Thus, family bonds are less about blood ties and more about a religious sentiment. As populations grew and people lived in denser communities, ancient family structures began to evolve. Sidentorp argues that the larger human collectives emerged with historical progress, necessitating beliefs that transcended family religion. He writes that if the family, grounded in religious faith, is the only enduring human unit, larger groups required specific conditions to form. Before city-states, new family collectives had to emerge. Each societal expansion demanded a new form of worship, recognizing a divinity greater than individual family gods. With the rise of cities and city-states, people worshipped both family gods and collectively the gods of the city-state. A city-state was essentially a grand altar. It's a sacred fire at the center. Citizens guarded this altar, and different city-states revered different patron gods, explaining the diverse deities in ancient Greek city-states. Public gods protected family gods to keep the family altar's fire burning and protect the clans from outsiders. People first had to defend the city-state. This was a root of ancient Greek democracy. While this describes Europe and the West, the Chinese people should find it familiar. China has long revered ancestor worship. Traditionally, Chinese society emphasized the family and a clan, defined by ancestral tablets, the family's gods. Worshipping ancestors through rituals fostered a family-based faith, a cornerstone of Chinese tradition. Modern Chinese have largely forgotten the spiritual value of ancestor worship. viewing it as a mere remembrance of the deceased, but it's far deeper. It holds a religious core that extends to social governance and politics. Traditional family religion centered on the clan's sacred fire united members into a cohesive community, resisting external forces while fostering internal unity, economy, and politics. Evidently, a totalitarian regime like the Communist Party is fundamentally incompatible with traditional family religion. To centralize absolute power and establish an authoritarian state, it had to eradicate the grassroots family religion. This is the core reason the party seeks to dismantle the family. Across the world, despite varying modern customs, early human history reveals striking similarities, particularly in family gods and beliefs. Whether in pre-city-state Europe or ancient China, a family's essence was an altar, with the elder or father as a priest passing down the clan's faith. In this context, the family was a grassroots self-defense and a self-governing entity. If families and clans dominated society, people could achieve self-governance, needing no state, government, or external institutions. Family religion and society enabled autonomy. The family was a political entity. Historians like David Foray, a professor at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, have studied this extensively. In his book, Emperor and Ancestor, State and Lineage in South China, Foray argues that the traditional Chinese clans played pivotal roles in politics and economics. In southern China, large clans united through kingship and held religious ceremonies in ancestral halls, fostering tight-knit communities. Foray, citing prior research, notes that clans functioned as corporate entities holding companies and trust funds. Ancestral halls mirrored ancient family altars, serving similar roles, with the hall as a sacred space and ancestral tablets as the clan's sacred fire. Clans controlled grassroots politics, commerce, and public works. Foray writes that by the 18th century, clans flourished widely. No longer just elite constructs ties to officials. Clans saw the gentry class take over intermediary roles between local society and the government. The gentry controlled local affairs through organizations rooted in religious activities, contracts, investments, and civil administration. Clans organized around shared ancestors formed alliances integrated into the local order. In the Ming and Qing dynasties, Chinese local politics balanced the clan power and the central authority. The government delegated to clans, which incorporated loyalty and patriotism into their ceremonies, achieving political harmony. Grassroots society could largely self-govern, and family and state religion coexisted. But with the revolutionary and communist eras, everything changed. The Communist Party, a terrorist and fascist entity, had to dismantle traditional structures to govern effectively, unable to control grassroots society otherwise. In the decades after the party's rise, relentless campaigns destroyed traditional customs and culture, particularly targeting clans. Land reforms executed or imprisoned the landlords and the gentry, dismantling clan halls. Movements like people's communes and production teams eradicated clans' social functions. Originally, clans managed the land, trade, and production at the grassroots. Without destroying these halls, people would have followed ancestral priests, not the party. To establish the leader worship, party loyalty, and allegiance to a fascist state, the party had to obliterate clan halls, family religion, and the family itself. This destruction was largely completed by the 1960s and the 1970s. Today, Chinese people are born not into families, but into their ruins. A home is no longer an altar or a place to guard a sacred fire. The father or elder is no longer a priest, but merely an old leek awaiting exploitation. Today's Chinese family is just a unit for raising leeks, with two old leeks nurturing a young one, ready for harvest. Many criticize the one-child policy's inhumanity, but this misses the point. Without first destroying clan halls and family religion, people would never have followed the party's birth policies. Family faith, not outsiders, decided family size. Without the dismantling clans and families, the one-child policy would have been unenforceable. This one-child policy and today's pro-birth policies work only because the spirit and the soul of Chinese families have been eradicated. Chinese homes lack altars, sacred fires, or priests. They are mere pigsties or cattle sheds. When the family altar's fire goes out, it signals ruin. Family members become leeks, mere meat on a chopping block. Today's program invites you to reconsider familiar historical issues from a new angle. Many define themselves by opposition against authoritarianism or totalitarianism, but the real question isn't what you oppose, it's what you will build afterward. Restoring family religion and the sanctity of family life is the true path to a better future. Centralized power and family religion are inherently at odds. One's gain is the other's loss. If family religion weakens, centralized power grows, and vice versa. If people treat their family as a religion with a true faith, centralized authority will naturally win. If Chinese people fail to grasp this, neglect the sanctity of family, and do not light and guard the family's sacred fire, their fate will remain that of leeks. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.